This is my Lift Your Spirits Halloween Mystery Crochet Along project, and I just added the 4th hank of yarn and finished the design for the border and realized this is a 5 hank project. This shawl is big. It's big, but it needs to be. So, oh, I haven't even told you guys it was a shawl. Well, it's a shawl. Hello and welcome to Mandobug Crafts, episode 116. What's up, everybody? My name is Amanda, but you may know me on the internet as Mandobug, and this is my crafty video podcast where I hopefully inspire you on your making journey as I share mine, which lately has been a crochet design journey, but not only that, it's just what I've been mostly doing. So in this video today, I'm going to talk about crochet and spinning, and that's it. So if you're interested, please stick around. If not, I would suggest you leave now. Starting out with something I've learned. These last couple of weeks, I have been taking an online class with Edie Ekman called Spreadsheet Savvy. And boy, was this a great investment. I highly recommend this class for anyone who is interested in designing garments, but there is a disclaimer. So this class is how to use Excel to do all of your sweater shaping and grading math. It does not teach you the math, but luckily she has a class on how to do the math. So if you're interested in designing patterns, specifically garments, because they can be a lot trickier. Excuse me. She has a class on how to write patterns technically so that they make sense and are easy to follow and follow industry standards. I've taken that class. I highly recommend that class. She also has a class that is for, I think it's called Math for Knitters. I could be wrong. I will link all of these classes down below. I did not take that class, but if you don't know the math behind things like grading and well, I think grading, she might actually have a separate class on that. But shaping. If you don't really understand how to shape fabric in knit and crochet, you're going to want to take that class. But then once you have that information, you're ready for the Excel class. And it was amazing. So I have used Excel to do the math for a sweater pattern already. And I've taken a class on Crafty, and I took that class with Luke from Wool Enthusiast. So I'm not completely new to this concept, but I know that Edie is a very experienced knit and crochet teacher and designer, and I knew that she would bring value to this class that would absolutely be worth every penny that I paid for it. And yeah, I was absolutely right about that. I learned a ton of extra tips and tricks to solidify the skills that I already had that are going to make designing more seamless? I don't know if that's the right word, but it's going to streamline my process, and it's already, I can tell that my process is going to be more functional and easier to follow than what I had been doing. So that was a ton of fun. Her classes are very well taught. There's homework, there's handouts. She even had office hours. If we struggled with the homework, there was office hours time that we could come show up and get extra help if needed. It was great. Highly recommend it. Moving on to finished objects. I haven't really finished a lot, but I did do a sample spin for a friend. Let me grab it. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you probably saw my short video about this fiber. I have been filming tons of little reels slash TikToks, and it's been a lot of fun. So if you're on TikTok, I now have a TikTok account. Of course, I'm Mandobug on there as well. So definitely come give me a follow. I've been having fun making these short little videos. My sample spin, the fiber is all gone, but I spun it up into this gorgeous yarn. This was a Targhee bamboo silk blend, and it looked a lot thinner when I was spinning it. Targhee is one of those fibers that just after a wash and thwack, it just goes like a puffer fish. And yeah, I just spun this on my big whirl and let the fiber do what it wanted to do, and it came out to be like a light worsted / worsted weight. I chain plied the colors, so when I knit them up into a swatch, I got this cool gradient effect going on. I really love this. I think this would be such an awesome yarn for a garment. I think this would make a great sweater. I love it. It's got good drape. Even the crocheted swatch has good drape. I love it so much. And you can see the gradient in the crochet as well, even though crochet rows are taller and sometimes that gradient is a little blockier, and you can see it like here a little bit. It's a little bit blocky, but it's still really gorgeous, and I like the way that the yarn behaved in both knit and crochet. So she did a great job dyeing this yarn. You know, sometimes when you're used to dyeing yarn or fiber, sometimes when you're used to dyeing yarn and then you move over to fiber, it could be a different process depending on how you treat your yarn. If you primarily dye superwash yarn, you can be pretty rough with it and it's fine. Something such as untreated wool is so much more sensitive to being handled, especially when hot. It's going to slow down the process completely, and I know as someone who's dyed fiber before, I'm always worried like, did I felt that a little bit? Was I a little too rough? So she did great with this fiber. There were no rough spots whatsoever. I did not pre-draft the fiber because I wanted to notice if any areas were slightly felted together or not, and none were. It spun like a dream. It was gorgeous, which means I'm super excited to test the rest of the fibers she sent me. I have this color and then this color as well. This one's Falkland, and this is a BFL mix. You know those BFL, the light and the dark mixed fibers? That's what this one is. So I just haven't gotten around to testing these out yet, but I will. It was fun to have a non-commission spinning project on the wheel, just to get a break from the dog for order that I've had for over a year. Moving on to works in progress. I have been doing some work on my Nightmare Before Christmas cardigan by Altknots, and I had to order more yarn because I ran out of black, which is because I ran out of another color. I was trying to make this cardigan at a stash because I do have a very well curated stash of Halloween inspired hand-dyed yarns, but I didn't fully take a lot into account when I was picking the colors. So here's where I'm at. I have the front and back panels done, and they are sewn together. So there's the back, there's the front. I'll go ahead and throw it on. Okay, I do have to make a side note, and I think I mentioned this last time. The way that Kayla wrote the pattern, it doesn't mention anything about ease, and I didn't write anything, I didn't add any ease when I took my measurements, so I'm worried about the fit a little bit. So this is a recipe style pattern up on her blog. I'll link it down below, and it's based on your measurements, which is great if you want to use any weight of yarn. You work to your own gauge, and because the sweater is a very simple shape that's not fitted, it's easy to do. It's also easy to customize for that reason as well. A lot of the people that are also making this cardigan are kind of putting their own twist on it as well. I've seen that in her Facebook group. So yeah, here we are. So you can kind of see where I'm worried, right? It does go exactly to my shoulders like I measured it was supposed to. Where I'm worried is on my sides. So this has to get sewn together, which it will do, right? But do you see it pulls my front out? So let's grab these two sides together too. Okay, so there we go. This is the sweater sewn. It's just so open in the front, which is not exactly what I was hoping for. I think it would have been better to do a wider shoulder measurement and let my sleeves drop more onto my arms than where they are. So You live and you learn. I'm not redoing this. What I'm doing instead is I'm going to add extra ribbing to the front of my cardigan, which is why I ordered more yarn. So this yarn here is Schmutzarella Yarns Dude base in the pumpkin nose colorway. It's a zero inspired colorway, which is perfect for Jack's side. I didn't think much about it. I just did my front panel and then my back panel, and then I realized, oh, I don't have enough yarn to do the sleeve the exact same way, which is the way the pattern's written. Luckily, based on the inspiration of this cardigan, it's super easy to change things up and it still work. So I started my sleeve with vertical stripes, which I think is going to look really awesome. And I had just enough pumpkin nose to do 4 vertical stripes. But because the sleeve is primarily black, I ran out of black. So I've just ordered more to finish off the rest of this sleeve. And her original pattern is a square sleeve, so I am gonna do some shaping. I made my square based on my wrist, so how wide I wanted at my wrist. And then I took my wrist measurement, and then I took my upper arm measurement, and then I divided the difference by 6, and I'm going to do flat shaping on each side to give me that tapered effect. And even if it isn't a smooth taper, it's seamed, so you can kind of fudge that in your seam. So that is the plan. And I'm starting with this side because once I get my measurements in shape, it'll be easier to patchwork my other sleeve. So I've got this sleeve to do, the other sleeve, and then I'm going to put ribbing around the bottom of the sleeves, the bottom of the cardigan, and then also the front. And so I ordered extra black so that I can fill in this front area so we don't have like a super open cardigan thing going on, because that's not my favorite. But it has been fun to work on a pattern that is like designing without designing, because I've been doing nothing but designing my own patterns lately, so it's a little more mindless. I had so much fun working on Sally's side, just doing my own thing. I would just pick up some colors and go. Let's see, let's talk about all the yarns, right? This one was really fun. This was a variegated yarn held together with a purple. Let me show you. This one's really fun. This one is these 2 yarns held together. This one is a Nidian colorway, and this one is a cattails colorway. And let's see, I showed you the Sally's front panel last episode because it was done. So the back panel is a Nidian colorway held double. This is I honestly don't know where I got the dark purple from, held double. And then the magenta held double is a Madeline Tosh Merino Light. This is a Nidian color held 1 strand of one of her Halloween colorways with 1 strand of black. And then this is another Nidian color held double with the black I've been using throughout. This is yarn from someone who's no longer dyeing. The company was called Lammy Toes, and I had made a pair of socks out of it, and this is all the leftovers held double. And then I already showed you this one. And then the black that I'm using, oh, I can't show you because it's all gone, is Shopple Wool's Bio Merinos, which is a 90% merino, 10% linen. And why I love it in general, plus for this pattern, is the 10% linen is white. Do you see that? Those white flecks in the black is the linen popping through, and I just love the effect that it gives. So yeah, I'm super excited to get more of that in the mail and finish my sleeve, and hopefully I can finish the cardigan on time. I don't know though, because I have been working on other projects as well. This crochet along that she's hosting goes through the end of June, so I have a couple more weeks, but I still have a lot of more work to do. So I'm hoping that I can finish it on time. But what's been getting most of my love has now been upgraded into a larger project bag. This is my Lift Your Spirits Halloween Mystery Crochet Along project, and I just added the 4th hank of yarn and finished the design for the border and realized this is a 5 hank project. This shawl is big. It's big, but it needs to be. So, oh, I haven't even told you guys it was a shawl. Well, it's a shawl. I was eventually gonna release that information when we got closer to the date, but that's fine. I'll share it with you guys now. Yeah, it's a shawl and it's massive, but there will be a small size. So the small size is only going to be 2 hanks. So you could make the small or the massive, which I highly recommend, the massive big version. I am like 15 rows away from the border and then I'm done. And then I need to get the chart created by the end of this month so that I can get it tech edited into testers so that they have 6 weeks to make it before the 6 weeks that it comes out. So I'm getting close to my deadlines here with this, but I'm on track. So this has been getting all my love so that I can stay on track, and it's big enough now that I was able to throw it on, and I was happily surprised with the way that everything lays when you wear it. Like, I love the way that the shawl looked like by itself, but now that it's big enough to actually wear it, I'm thoroughly happy with the way that it wears. Outside of the Halloween Mystery Crochet Along, I also have done some swatching for some other new designs. So if you saw my Hobie yarn haul that I posted earlier, you'll recognize this yarn. This is Mayflower Cotton Merino Classic, and it is a DK weight 50% cotton, 50% merino yarn, and I have swatched for a summer top. So I wasn't exactly sure how this yarn was going to behave, so I ended up doing 2 swatches. One in plain old double crochet, which was a little more see-through than I wanted, which I thought might happen. So I did another swatch in linked double crochet, and you cannot see through it at all. So I'm going to go forward with the design with the linked double crochet. That way it's not a pattern that you need to wear an undershirt with, because in the summer and when you want to wear tees, you don't want to also have to wear an undershirt under them. That kind of defeats the point of staying cool. So I'm going to go with the linked double crochet over the double crochet, but the yarn has decent drape, which is also why I chose linked double crochet. I could have gone down in hook sizes to get a denser fabric with less holes in it, but denser fabric means stiffer fabric, and I don't want that. I need drape, but I don't want any gaps. So linked double crochet it is. I love this color. I think it's gonna be a great color for me as well. And I'm excited to work with this yarn, but this is a pattern that I have to sit down with Excel first before I go about making it, so it's just waiting on that. And then I also swatched with the Bumbo Bumbo Soft Merino, here it is. Bumbo Soft Merino, which is a DK weight, almost light worsted weight, 100% wool, which is superwash treated. And I swatched for a hat for Annie, which and the swatch is still wet, so I'm waiting for it to dry up before I can do any measurements and really test whether I want to keep it at this gauge or not. It is more drapey like you would want for a garment, but I'm making her a hat, so I don't think that I want it this loose. I think I'm going to have to re-swatch in a smaller hook size, because this is going to be a bonnet. Oh, I'm excited. I've never made a bonnet before, and I think that it's going to be the cutest thing ever. I decided to go with a bonnet because Annie doesn't keep hats on. She rips them off. And with a bonnet, it's easier to keep it on because you have the little tie under the head, which she could pull on, but it's going to be a little more difficult for her to take off versus a regular hat and just ripping it off. And then speaking of swatches and moving into Let's Chat, I am going to start doing live videos. So this Saturday, I'm going to be going live, and I'm going to be calling the Saturday Lives Swatch Fest because I just ordered a bunch of cotton yarn from you guys on Instagram. So I asked, what is your favorite cotton yarn? And I got a good number of responses, and I bought one of almost every single type you recommended. The only ones that I didn't buy were the ones that were on the higher price point. Some were $30 or more for just one ball of yarn, and I was like, ooh, that hurts my pocket, especially since I'm buying so many different types of cotton. So I still did buy some luxury end cotton yarns as far as the price tag goes, but I didn't buy all of the recommended yarn. So I've got a bunch, and you're going to see this in a haul coming up. I'm going to be filming that later today. It should be coming out this Wednesday. So anyways, I'm going to swatch with all these cotton yarns, and I'm constantly swatching for designs. So I thought Saturday Swatch Fest was the perfect name for my lives. I'm just going to show up, hang out while I'm swatching, and we can chat about whatever. For this very first live this Saturday, I'm going to be talking about the tools that I use to swatch and my swatching process, and potentially things about swatching that you might have questions about. So if you're interested in hanging out with me while I swatch on Saturday, it's going to be Saturdays at 9 a.m. And the best way to get notifications for that is to turn on that little bell. You know how there's the subscribe and the bell? Turn the bell on, or if you see the video in your subscription feed, you can set a reminder. It'll show you a little link on the video where you can click set for reminder for when that happens. And then you'll also get a notification that way. But yeah, so I'm going to be live on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. swatching, hanging out to chat, answer any questions, and share kind of my swatching process and talk about whatever I'm swatching as well. If it's a design I'm swatching for, or if I'm testing the yarn and it's a review I'm working on, we'll be able to chat about all of those things. But of course, it's also open-ended. I'm a very ask me anything kind of person, and if you do ask me something that I don't feel comfortable answering, that's fine. I'll just let you know, oh, I'm not comfortable with that one. Next question. But I'm super excited to start being live because of the community aspect of it. To be able to have a conversation in real time, super excited about that. So that's going to be Saturdays at 9 a.m. And then other than that, I've considered starting a Facebook group so that we have a place to communicate as I step away from Ravelry. I've only been logging into Ravelry to collect information that I haven't taken off of there, which I really need to do so that I can stop logging in. But that's where I used to host my crochet alongs, and that's where I used to be able to chat with you guys outside of the YouTube comments, was in the Ravelry forums in my Mandobug Crafts group, which I no longer want to be there. So I think I'm just going to basically move that group to Facebook. I'm thinking about calling it Mandobug's Crafty Corner. You know, me and crafts, I got to keep crafting everything. And it's kind of my little corner of the internet where we can hang out. And also my craft room is a corner right now. So it just kind of makes sense in my mind. So if you're interested in being a part of the Facebook group where you can share projects that you're working on, or ask me questions, or share anything related to crafting in general, I will put a link to that group in the description box below as well. I'm pretty sure this is where I'm going to be hosting my crochet alongs. I thought about using Discord. The only thing is I'm not super versed in how to set it up, how to host it, how to moderate it, and all of that. And I'm just more comfortable with Facebook for now. So that's how I came up with that decision. Unless there's a big enough kickback from you guys saying no, do Discord, then I can do Discord instead. But I don't want to go down that route if that's not like predominantly what's wanted. So yeah, other than that, summer's about to start and my kids are out of school for the summer, so that's been really nice. And thank goodness, because they got lice, and I'm pretty sure they got it from school, and like I was really worried about them continuing to get it from school, because I talked to a couple people when I first found out about the lice and we were going through the treatment and the shampooing and the washing, and oh my gosh, we were up till midnight the first night when we found out. Luckily, me and David didn't have any in our heads, but the kids did. And so it just was a lot of work to make sure we could completely get rid of them. And then I reached out to some friends, and I heard back that the school districts don't really check for lice anymore. Like when I was in school, the nurses would take chopsticks and check our heads and then send us home. I guess they don't do that anymore, and I've heard horror stories about families who would get rid of it and then send their kids to school and they'd come home with it again. So thankfully school is out. The lice are gone. They can't come back. But boy, that was a rough week, and we all got a cold that week, and so I was out for a couple days, and Jack was really sick, just stuffed up and could barely breathe. It was horrible. But all of that is all over and done, and it's starting to warm up, and I'm super excited to be able to be more active outdoors now that it's nicer outside. But yeah, that's all I have to talk about for Let's Chat. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope I can see you on Saturday during Swatch Fest to hang out and chat. And until then, happy crafting. Bye!